Hi everyone, I'm Nicolas Amanniti and today I'm here to talk about one of the songs of my popular music technique module, Julia by the Beatles. Julia is a song by the Beatles included in their 1968 album The Beatles, also known as The White Album. The song has been written by John Lennon in the period when the band visited Rishikesh in northern India. It features Lennon on the acoustic guitar and on voice, and as stated by Zanetti, this has been a unique case in the history of the Beatles because this has been the first time that Lennon played alone in a recorded song unaccompanied by any other Beatles member. The song is dedicated to Lennon's mother, Julia, who died when he was only 17 years old, but it's also dedicated to his wife, Yoko Ono, whose name literally means child of the ocean, as you can hear in the verse Ocean Child Calls Me. In the lyrics, the verse half of what I say is meaningless, but I say just to reach you Julia is an alteration of a verse of Khalil Gibran's Sand and Foam from 1926, as stated by Turner. Talking about the music of the song is in the key of D major, and it has a simple but unusual structure of verse, two choruses, a bridge, and then another time the chorus, but only one time, and then he repeats the verse and the two choruses and finishes with a short outro. This use of particular and unusual structures is a typical element of Beatles songwriting, but the real particularity of the song is in the chorus because there's a modulation. In fact, the chords A minor 7, G minor 7 and B7 are completely out of the key of D major, and to keep being in the D major key they have to be G major, A7 and B minor. For my interpretation I decided to rearrange the song. I've started maintaining the original key of D major and the original structure, at which I added after an intro and a solo after the bridge. But the main changes I've made in my reinterpretation of the song are in the arrangement. In fact, the original song played by Lennon is only a voice and acoustic guitar arrangement, while I decided for my interpretation of the song to play with a full band, so with drums, with a bass, an acoustic guitar and me at the electric guitar, but without the voice, with me harmonizing melody and chords on my guitar. I made this choice because I wanted to make something different and creative and because I wanted to emphasize the instrument in my interpretation of the song. For my interpretation of Julia by the Beatles, I used as a reference the American tradition of the electric guitar of jazz, rock and roll and country of 50s and 60s. With names like Chet Atkins, from which I've taken the idea of finger picking, Steve Cropper and James Barton for the use of the Fender Telecaster, Dwayne Eddy and Les Paul. During the definition of my influences for my interpretation of Julia, I found really helpful the work of Tavernese on the electric guitar history and the story of the guitarists that play these electric guitars. Inspired by these names, for my performance I've used my Fender Telecaster with single coil pickups to a clean Fender amp with reverb set at 2 o'clock and a Digitech Digi-Delay set to a vintage tape style delay to have more brightness and the ambience, but with still a vintage tone. I've played most of my performance with finger picking, except for the part of the solo and the intro in which I played with a pick. For the arrangement of my guitar part, I decided to play the notes of the melody on the higher strings of the guitar and to accompany these notes of melody with the chords shaped on the medium and low strings of the guitar. To shape my chords for my interpretation of Julia, I've used as influence the work of Ted Green on his book Chord Chemistry. For the intro and the solo part, I mostly played with the Frisian mode, and considering that we are in the key of D major and the Frisian mode is on the third grade of the major scale, I played it on the F sharp position, while in the part of the chorus where there's the modulation, I've used an A minor scale and a G minor scale. Talking about the rest of the arrangement for my interpretation of Julia, I decided to make the drummer plays not the usual drumsticks but brushes to remind the jazz feeling and to add more elegance to my performance. Same thing for the bass player that didn't use an electric bass but an acoustic fretless bass to have a more elegant and warmer sound and to exploit the use of the slide of the fretless instrument. Then the choice of the acoustic guitar that has been made to add a natural and more organic feeling to the arrangement and to remind the country context I which I'm referring as my influence. So, in conclusion, this has been a deep and complete analysis of my reinterpretation of Julia by the Beatles for my Popular Music Techniques module. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.